Haya. Lulwa. Okay. Yahya. Tadrus. Ruhaym. Tadrus. Oh, mute yourselves, please, guys. Yasmin. Yasmin Saeed. And Baghdadi. Okay. This is Yusuf Awad, and Ruhaym is trying to join. Yusuf. Okay. Welcome back, guys. Jana Osman. So again, as I told you before, we have a short story entitled An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge. Why I focus on it today? Because we didn't do it in an online session. Okay, it was during the days on which we didn't have an online session. You know, we used to have our online sessions every Tuesday and Thursday. This was supposed to be taught during the other days, Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday. This is why I focus on it today. Okay, still have two other people. Yassine. So again, you need to read the short story carefully. And I started the first scene with you. You have to complete it on your own. Please make sure you read it. I said this again and again. And this is a worksheet with questions about this short story. And I haven't uploaded it yet on SMS. I'll do this after I finish the session. And I'll upload another sheet on the other parts, which we did together online. So we have some questions and answers here. But before I start, I want someone to remind me of the writer of this story. Who is the writer? If you remember, who is the writer of this short story? And I need your answers, please. Who wrote An Occurrence at
مستر
Yes, Abdurrahman.
حسن رهاي ما عايز يدخل.
Hassan Ruhaym tried to enter with two accounts. He tried to enter with two accounts. This is why I removed one of them and accepted the other. Okay, ask him to try again because I can see his name here. Okay. I removed one of the two accounts because he was trying to enter with two accounts. So the question again, who wrote An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge? Your answers, please. Who wrote An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge?
Recording in progress.
Yusuf?
Yes.
Can you answer the question? Who wrote An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge?
Can you repeat?
Who is the writer of this short story, An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge? We read a page about him in the first session. His name is
Ambrose Bierce.
Yes. And thank you, Yusuf. Another question. This man, had or earned himself a nickname. What was his nickname? Haya? Ambrose Bierce, the writer of the short story, earned himself a nickname. What was his nickname? Haya?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. Follow up, please, because we said it in the first session and I focused on it. Jana Osman, can you answer this question? What was the nickname of Ambrose Bierce, the writer of this short story?
I don't know what, Mister.
Okay, no problem. Lulwa? Lulwa, do you know the answer? So who was following up, guys? I want someone who was following up in the first session. Nobody was following up? Yusuf Awad? Type Yusuf.
Peter Beers.
Yes, bitter, B-I-T-T-E-R. Thank you, Yusuf. Bitter beers. Guys, these are the questions which will come in the exam. Yani, what do you want? I'm explaining it again. I'm not supposed to say this stuff again. You should have studied it on your own. And it's the last session and nobody is paying attention. A few people only are paying attention. So what? Okay. I have a couple of questions here. When and where was Bierce born? Who is Bierce again? Bierce is the writer of this short story. An occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge. He was born in June 1842 in Ohio and was raised in Indiana. He was raised in Indiana. He used to live in many states. Then he went to Kentucky and finally to California. And people say he died in Mexico. And he even traveled to Mexico during the Mexican Civil War. And people said, or some people say or speculate that he died there in 1914 here. Type. What was his nickname and how did he get it? We need a question mark here. He was nicknamed Bitter Beers. Bitter Beers. For why did he or why was he nicknamed that way? For his sharp commentaries, for his sharp pen in his column known as The Prattler. This is the title of his column. He used to write a column in more than one newspaper. Okay, the name of his column was The Prattler or Prattler. In what year might he have died? Because nobody is sure about this. And where? So it was in 1914 in Mexico. What is the setting as the story begins? Remember the setting of the story? The setting is on a bridge over the Owl Creek in northern Alabama. So the setting of the story was on a creek over the on a bridge over the Owl Creek in northern Alabama. And what occurrence was about to take place? An occurrence was about to happen on this bridge. It was a hanging, the hanging of a gentleman. Why? Mute yourselves, please. Why was he hanged, or why was he to be hanged? Again, this man belonged to the Confederacy or the South. He wanted to do something wrong to harm this bridge. He wanted to set fire to the driftwood under the bridge because it was dry and burn the bridge. But he was arrested and there was something like a decision by the Union forces that anyone who tried to harm or do something wrong to the bridges was to be hanged in the same place. So this is why he was to be hanged in this place. Can you mute yourselves, please? What could be seen extending? Sorry, I have here another question. Who were at the center of the bridge? So if you remember from the movie, we have, and I uploaded, I think, 2 movies about this short story on SMS. Try to watch them, please. The captain or the leader, a sergeant, 2 privates, again, a private is a soldier, and the man being hung. So there were 5 people at the center of the bridge. Right. Who was at the opposite ends of the bridge? At each end of the bridge, there was a sentinel. A sentinel is a guard. So there were 7 people at the bridge. 5 in the center, the captain, the sergeant, 2 soldiers, and the man being hung. And At both ends of the bridge, there was a sentinel. There were two sentinels, one at each end. So there were 7 people at the bridge. What could be seen extending from each end of the bridge? What could be seen extending towards or toward the southern side? The rail continued. It was the railroad for about 100 yards and then curved into a wooden area, something like a forest. On the northern side, the area appeared open with a gentle acclivity or slope, upward slope, sloping along the river bank, also a Union company. A Union company means a troop of soldiers or a group of soldiers. What officer remained with the troop? Where were they? What did he? Why did he remain? The lieutenant remained with the company on the. So, guys, as you can see, these are questions about the details of the story. I noticed that maybe none of you has read it, so you need to read it carefully because in order to answer these questions, you have to read the story. And there are too many questions about it here. Explain, this is an important question. Explain the etiquette and dignity shown toward death. Before hanging the man, the lieutenant and the sergeant stood solemnly, calm, as a sign of respect for death, because we all are going to die. Even if you are killing or hanging an enemy, you should show respect to death. Okay, explain the etiquette and dignity shown toward death. Give a general statement and a specific statement from the story as it relates to the story. Death in general, this is the answer. Even toward an enemy, if you are killing an enemy, requires some form of respect because the individual is going to meet God. The one to be hanged is going to meet God. Also, any soldier could find himself in the same situation. If you are the hanger now, if you are killing someone, you are going to die in the future and would want to be treated with respect as he approached death. Everyone wants to be treated with respect as he approached death. In the story, the soldiers follow orders, which is also respectful of their position in the military. So the soldiers respected, let's say, expressed or showed respect to the person to be hanged, and they respected their leaders by following their orders. Describe the man about to be hung. I told you that the man in the story is 35, but the man in the video is just 16, as he said. So about 35 years old, gentleman who may have owned a plantation, civilian, he is a civilian, not a soldier, strong physical features, as you saw, mustache, the man in the video didn't have a mustache, and beard without side whiskers or sideburns, gray eyes, expert assassin. What did let's what did Beers mean in describing him as no vulgar assassin? No vulgar assassin. He was described as the man in the story, the man to be hanged. His name was Peyton Farker, as we know if we have read it. The man was extraordinary and an expert shooter. The man was extraordinary and an expert shooter. Describe the procedure that this military group used leading to the hanging. Again, a group of soldiers take a man who did something wrong or who tried to do something wrong to the bridge and they want to hang him. Describe the procedure, the steps. The privates from the soldiers received their orders for preparation by tying the man's hands behind his back. First thing, they took him to the bridge, tied his hands behind his back. They set up a plank. A plank is a piece of wood, like the one you saw in the movie or in the video, that spanned 3 cross timbers. It spanned 3 timbers, nearing a fourth. It was about 1.5 meters. Then they arranged a noose. A noose, you know, when someone is to be hanged, they hang him or her with a rope, and the loop of the rope which is put around the person's neck is called the noose. Noose. This part of the rope is called the noose. Uh, uh, and arrange a noose around his neck and secure the rope over a cross beam. They, as you watched in the video, the captain placed his weight on one end of the plank and the victim was on the other. If the captain steps aside, you know, the victim would fall in the river. After completed or fall down, and he will be hanged. After completed preparations, the sergeant informed the captain, "We are ready, sir," and then stepped on the plank behind the captain. The captain then stepped off prior to giving the sergeant to move aside, or giving orders, so that the plank would fall to the river, leaving the man to hang to his death. This is the procedure of before hanging the man. How did the captain feel about this method? He thought it was simple and effective, according to the story. To what did the man about to be hung direct his attention? While he was standing on the plank of wood, the man to be hanged uh, kept looking at the river or the creek below him, and he kept looking at a piece of driftwood floating. You know, driftwood is the wood that is taken by water. So he fixed his eyes on a piece of driftwood floating. He was supposed to set fire to these pieces of wood, and in turn, it will burn the bridge. How did he feel about the movement of that item as well as the procedure? It seemed to move slowly along and somewhat sluggish. Like, you know, he was to be hanged, and this time passed slowly. He waited for his, let's say, fate, and time went on very slowly. And this was shown or reflected by the ticks of his clock or his watch, sorry, tick, tick, as you watched in the videos. How did he feel about the movement of that item? As we said, slow and sluggish. Sluggish means slow. What did the man, why did the man close his eyes? To focus his final thoughts upon his family. If you remember, he closed his eyes and he focused his thoughts upon his family. What were the metallic sounds that he began to hear? The ticking of his watch. Tick, tick, tick. The metallic sounds that he began to hear during this time was the ticking of his watch. What were his exaggerated thoughts about the sounds? Although the time continued to move at the same space, things to him seemed to move again more slowly because he was nearing his death. He wanted it over. Time went on very slowly during these few minutes. He wanted to die soon, or he wanted to be done with it quickly because he was nearing his death and time was passing slowly. And this was again represented by the ticking of his watch. Of what did the man begin to think? After this, he had the thought of escaping. What happened at this thought flashed, or as this thought flashed in his mind? The captain, while he was thinking of a way to escape, the captain gave the order for the sergeant to step aside or leave the plank fall in the river, and this way he would be hanged. What technique or term did Pierce use in this part? The writer here, instead of falling in the river, or instead of being hanged, sorry, the writer uses a flashback. He returns to his home and you know the scene when the scene shifted from the hanging scene to another scene. Who was the captured man? What was his name? The man to be hanged? Peyton Farquhar. Again, Peyton Farquhar. Farquhar. Okay. For what side of the Civil War did he sympathize? Peyton Farquhar, the man to be hanged. He sympathized with or for the Confederacy, not the Union. Again, let's remember the American Civil War took place between the North, which was called the Union, and it was industrialized, and the slaves, no more slavery there. The black people were free in the North. And the South, which was called the Confederacy, where there were large plantations, it was agricultural, and they earned most of their money depending on slavery. Okay, so Farquhar was or belonged to the Confederacy. Maybe he was a rich man with a large plantation, and he didn't want the black people to have their freedom. What or was he a member of the military? Was he a soldier or something, or a civilian? I think we said this earlier. No, however, no reason for his inability to join was provided. We don't know why he wasn't a military person, he was a civilian. Why? We're not sure why. What would he have done to assist the causes of the war effort? He tried to do something to assist the war. Again, he wasn't satisfied with freeing the slaves. He was against this because he himself was a rich man with a large plantation. He wanted the black people to work for him in his plantation, and this is how they earned money. But this is why he tried to resist freeing them. Again, what would he have done to assist, to help the causes of the war effort? Anything, as no task was dangerous, nor any too small to assist in the war. Yani he would do whatever he could do, however dangerous it was, to assist the Confederacy forces in the war. At first described what type of soldier came to his gate. We have a flashback. He thought of his home or family, and while he was at home, again, he is standing on the blank now, but he was thinking about his home back, and he remembered when a visitor, a soldier, came to his home asking for some water. Again, at first describe what type of soldier came to his gate. He thought that this soldier belonged to the Confederacy, okay, and he was gray clad. For what did he ask? This soldier asked for some water to drink. Again, guys, once Peyton Farquhar was at home, and a soldier visited his house and asked for some water. He wanted to drink. Who went to get that, to get water for him? Farquhar's wife. I'm not sure whose mic is on. طيب, Walid, can you mute your mic, please? Abdurrahman Walid, because it's making slight noise. Abdurrahman. Walid. طيب, I muted it. Who went to get that? Mrs. Farquhar, his wife. So again, a soldier passed by Farquhar's house and he wanted to drink. Mrs. Farquhar went to bring some water. During this time, Farquhar asked the soldier some questions about Owl Creek Bridge. What information did the soldier tell the man? He had said that the Union had advanced, the Union forces, to and held position by the Owl Creek Bridge. They control it now, after they had repaired it, and that orders were given to hang anyone who interfered with the bridge. Orders were given to hang anyone who would interfere with the bridge or the railroad in general. How far was it from the man's home? This bridge was about 30 miles far from Farquhar's home. What did the soldier believe someone could do to destroy the bridge? Parker asked him, what can I do to destroy this, or what can anyone do to destroy the bridge? The soldier said, if someone got beyond the picket post, the northern soldiers stationed a half a mile south of the bridge, if anyone could get beyond these forces and kill the guard, we said there was a sentinel or a guard guarding the bridge all the time. Someone could then set fire to the driftwood. The driftwood there was dry, and anyone who would set fire to the driftwood would burn the bridge and destroy the bridge below the bridge and burn it down. To what army did the soldier belong? At the beginning, Parker thought that the soldier belonged to the Confederacy, but we know that he belonged to the Union. He was a scout in the Union, not in the Confederacy. This soldier who wanted to drink water and who gave Parker information about the bridge. What began to happen to Peyton Parker? He was descending to his death. Again, we come back to the hanging scene, and he was descending to his death. At this point of the story, did he die instantaneously? No, as you know, the scene shifted to he went down in the water. Of course, this did not happen in reality. He went down in the water and freed himself from the rope and dived down, and they kept shooting him, but they failed to hit him. There were volleys of bullets which missed him. All of them missed him, and he survived their shooting and went to the other side of the river, or maybe the creek, and went back home. And when he was about to kiss his wife, the scene shifts back to the hanging scene, and he falls down and he is hanged, and he dances from side, or moves or swings from side to side like a pendulum. If you remember the scenes from the video. What did he realize had happened? This was the imaginary scene. The rope had broken. This didn't happen really. Okay, and he fell into the water below. Or this is what he wished to happen, but he was hanged. He was killed. What idea seemed ludicrous to him? To die of hanging at the bottom of the river, which meant he would choke to death because of the rope around his neck. How did he not wish to die, and why? How did he not wish to die? He did not want to be shot if their method was not effective. And the rope broke. He shouldn't be allowed to go free, or he should, the rope, if the rope broke and I fall in the river, they shouldn't. This means God wants me to stay alive, and they shouldn't shoot me. How did he get free from the ropes? He worked his hands free with Superman strength, and then removed the noose. Again, the noose, with sound, the noose is the part of the rope that is put around a person's neck, from his neck. How did he feel after removing the rope from his neck? He was in extreme pain, and this was very clear in the video. To where did he go after removing the rope? He started swimming to the surface. What specific did Beers use to illustrate the keenness of Peyton's senses? He had strong senses, and this was clear in the story. Give examples. The insects that he could see the insects, which are most of the time tiny and small. The dew on the blades of grass, he could see the drops of dew. The fish swimming beneath him, things he could see, hear, and feel. So this showed that he had strong senses. As he looked back at the bridge, where was the sun? What proves this? It was to the east, because the soldiers were in silhouette on the bridge. It was also morning. At first, who shot at him? the guards or the sentinels, and so on. It's a long sheet with about 60 or 70 questions. Again, guys, you need to read the story. You need to read the story carefully because maybe, as you know, maybe none of these questions will come. Maybe some of them will come. Maybe all of them will come. You should read the story and be ready for any question. I'll stop here and ask you a couple of questions to check understanding. Please put your hand up if you know the answer. I'll ask the same questions I asked at the beginning of this session. Who wrote an occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge? What's the name of the writer? What is the name of the writer? Okay, Haya, go ahead.
Beers.
Okay, Ambrose Bierce. Thank you, Haya. What was he nicknamed? What was he nicknamed? He was nicknamed something. Hala joined us late. Yusuf, معلش Yusuf, I'll ask another person because you answer all the time. Thank you, Yusuf. You are indeed the most active student, along with Baghdadi and the other respected guys. Thank you. Yahya Awad, were you following up, Yahya? Yahya? Okay. Hala, you joined late. Hala, can you hear me? Hala, answer me, please.
Yes.
Okay. The writer of the short story An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge was nicknamed something. Of course, you didn't attend it from the beginning. He was nicknamed Bitter, B-I-T-T-E-R, Bitter Bierce. His name was Ambrose Bierce, but his nickname was Bitter Bierce. Why? Because he was a writer, Hala, with a sharp pen, a poisoned pen. He had sharp commentaries. He was a perfectionist who wasn't easily satisfied with what was going on around him. He criticized everything. He was satirical, and again, he had a sharp pen, a poisoned pen. This is why he was nicknamed Bitter Bierce. طيب, guys, who can tell me when he was born and where? When and where the man was born? When and where? When and where was Ambrose Bierce born? Type Yasin, can you answer this question? Yasin? It looks like Yasin is not following up. No problem.
In 1842 in Ohio.
In Ohio, the northern state of Ohio, good. And he was raised in a plantation or on a farm in the adjacent or the neighboring state of Indiana. And then he moved to Kentucky to study. And then he moved to California. He lived in San Francisco, California, where he worked as a writer. He wrote in 3 newspapers. He had a column. He wrote a column. Can you remind me of the name or the title of his column, guys? Lulwa, can you answer this question? Lulwa Hazim? Lulwa? طيب, Tadrus, are you there? Tadrus? طيب, Walid? عبد الرحمن وليد. Hassan Gouda. Who's following up, guys? Who's with me in the room? Please put your hand up. بدل ما نادي الاسماء كده واحد واحد ومش حد بيرد عليا. اكيد انت يا يوسف، بس انت وياسين مثلا 2 3. طيب okay. I have 3 guys. انتوا اللي معايا. حبايبي انتوا والله. Thank you. Yasmin Saeed. Yasmin, you haven't presented your project and this way you lose a couple of marks. يعني I gave you every chance but you insist on مش عارف يعني اقول لك ايه. I gave you more than 1 chance. طب my question, guys, the 4 of you, for the 4 of you, The question is, what is the title of the column of Ambrose Bierce? He wrote a column in more than one newspaper or magazine. What is the title of his column? طيب, Yasmin, do you know the answer? Yasmin, do you know the answer? Yasmin, if you know the answer, go ahead. If you don't, say I don't know, just to save time. All I can hear is noise, just noise. Okay, thank you, Yasmin. Yusuf? Yasin, okay, Yasin. What's the title of the column Ambrose wrote?
مثلا كنت رافع ايدي من ساعة
Okay. طب Yasmin, your hand is still raised. Do you want to answer or what? Yasmin, I don't understand what's happening. Huh? Yasmin, do you want to answer? Okay. طيب. Yusuf Awad, do you know the answer? What's the title of Ambrose Bierce's column? He used to write a column. Yusuf, do you know the answer?
This one I don't know.
No problem. It's the prattler. Remember the word, the prattler? We said it in the first session. Prattler. The title of the column, guys, was the prattler. Again, guys, please, for you all, or for the 3 or 4 people in the room with me, please, you need to read the story very well, along with the other parts which we did in the online sessions before. And this is not the only thing we have in literature. You know, we have the diaries and the journals. We have 3 diaries and journals. You have to study them also, and there is stuff about them and videos about them on SMS. Any question before I end the session? The 3 or 4 guys who are following up, any question? Thank you very much. طيب يوسف قبل ما اقفل برضه في حاجه؟
لا.
طيب thank you very much. ماشي يا شباب، انا في عندي تشات بس هشوف. Yasmin said I can present in the end of the class. طب ما we are in the end of the class, Yasmin. يعني if you are ready, tell me. We still have about 2 minutes only. I don't think. Yasmin. We are in the end of the class. طيب. I'll end the session. There is only 1 minute left. Thank you very much.
ألف سلامة.
علي بتقول حاجة؟